Hello and welcome to the Turn Brain Knits podcast. I'm your host Heather, coming to you from Olympia, Washington. You can find me on Ravelry at The Turned Brain and on Instagram as The Turned Brain Knits. A big thank you to everybody who watched my first episode a couple weeks ago. You can find it under my channel under episode 0.5. It means so much that you took time out of your life to spend a little bit of time with me. Another big special thanks to my friends at Shelby and Atlas. You guys have been overwhelmingly supportive and encouraging as I navigate this new podcast world, and I can't even begin to tell you how much that means to me. Thank you again for being here. This is a primarily knitting focused podcast, though occasionally, including today, some other crafty things might pop up. And we'll normally end with a book recommendation or two. But for now, on to the knitting. So I have one half object finished this week, which I meant to wait till the 1st of December to start anything new, but I needed a project for some reason. I don't remember why. I needed something on my needles and all my sock needles were clear, so I had nothing portable. So I cast on and finished the first evergreen sock. So this is the Evergreen Socks pattern on Ravelry by Madeline Gannon. The heel is the Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist. And I believe the toe is as the pattern is written. And it just has this great pine tree, Christmas tree looking lace pattern that I really loved. And so this is Magnolia from Shipwrecked Sheep. It is not a Christmas colorway. It was actually a show exclusive colorway this summer. And I bought it because it was beautiful, and as soon as it was in my hands, I knew that it wanted to be Christmas socks. And it's also, this is her jazz sock base, and look at that glitter. It really sparkles and shines, and so it's really perfect for the Christmas season. I love the pale minty greens and then the shots of almost a cranberry. And yeah, I'm really liking this. It's a pretty simple, intuitive lace pattern that goes all the way around. And then once you get past that, it's just a stockinette foot, which can be great. And this also becomes my first work in progress as I have the second one. So I'm about halfway through the lace here with my little kind of sugar cookie star guy that I got from the Make Your Yarn Wish Happens. And off the top of my head, I can't remember who the designer of this is. You'll see that my sock is on a 9-inch circular needle. Almost all, like 98% of my sock knitting happens on a US 1.5, 9-inch circular needle. I absolutely love them. Magic Loop I use for my toes, and I've started using it to do crown decreases on hats. I've used Magic Loop, but for the most part I find it incredibly fiddly, and I'm much faster on the 9-inch circulars. So I do everything but the toe. I even do my heels. Doesn't work so well for a heel flap, but for the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, I have no problems using my 9-inch circular. So yeah, I need to get back to working on this because I'd like to have these done by Christmas. And here's the skein. And it's so sparkly and it's festive, but not in a knock you over the face with it. Of course, it's not really a Christmas colorway, so that's probably part of the reason. But it's knitting up just really beautiful and plump, and yeah, I'm absolutely in love with the yarn and pattern combination on this one. It is living in this Harry Potter bag from Fates Thread. Most of my project bags are actually from Fates Thread. She's fairly local to me. She has really great prices and just so many patterns. She really focuses a lot on the more geeky, nerdy patterns, but she's got just a lot of, just, if you're looking for something, she probably has it. You should definitely check her out. Okay, so let's set this aside. And we'll go to a non-sock project. So you guys saw this last week, and this is living in another Fates Thread bag. This one's all like sketchy Disney princesses with some fun little buttons, including the Grocery Girls. And this is my, speaking of Grocery Girls, this is my Malibu shawl by Jody Brown. Let's see, here we go. Let's see. I still don't have a whole lot of this done. When I recorded last, I was here at this marker, which is by Cherry Pie Cottage, Little Macaron. And so I've just been doing this. Here we have the dropped stitch section, and I finished fading, and so now I'm just in the variegated, which is Every Forever by Shipwreck Sheep, in the fluffy DK base. So it's alpaca, silk, and linen, which is probably backwards. Again, I haven't really caught the bug with this one. I don't do a lot of larger scale projects, and normally I'll start them and really knit obsessively on them and fairly monogamously. And for some reason with this one, it hasn't quite happened. I like the pattern. I love the yarn. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll get some more of this done. I've got work's going to really slow down. And then of course, a couple nice long weekends with the holidays coming up. So lots of knitting. Okay. And let's see. So Friday night, I had my work's Christmas party, and I realized I didn't have a project to go with me. I'm still in the lace section on the evergreen sock, which isn't great for when you're going to go eat dinner with people. And my other sock, which I'll show you in a minute, was finished for the day. So I cast on another sock. So this is just a vanilla sock. It's going to be for my husband. So it's just 1x1 ribbing, a 72, I'm losing stitches, 72 stitch sock, just from the top down. Normally I do his socks pretty short. He doesn't mind them. And I normally go about 3.5 inches before I hit the heel. But I think this one I'm going to go a bit longer. I don't know what's happening. So this doesn't really show very well. But this is just a skein of Knit Picks Felici in Beyond the Wall. Here is it. Full. So this is one of the colors that just released in this last Felici update. And I had to buy this because Beyond the Wall makes me think of Game of Thrones, and my husband loves Game of Thrones. He's completely obsessed. And he doesn't really have any stripy socks. Last year I made him some Christmas socks that are stripy, out of like the Cascade that does the like faux Fair Isle thing. But just like everyday stripy socks, he doesn't really have any. So I knew that he would really like this. So it's just these icy blues and grays going all the way to a charcoal. And so here I'm at, what, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just started the 6th color, which I believe is a full repeat. And I like it. You know, you kind of get what you pay for with Felici. I love it because it's really inexpensive. But I don't quite understand why they insist on putting colors that are barely distinguishable next to each other. So you look like you have one really wide stripe. But this will be great, and it's always nice to have a just plain vanilla sock on the needle. The funny thing is, though, got this all ready, got it past the ribbing, so I was ready to just knit at my party. Grabbed my tote bag, put my Notions bag in there, put my wallet in there. Everything's good to go. I get to the party, and my project bag was not there. So I ended up not using it for its intended purpose anyway. But there is nothing wrong with a vanilla sock. I've been watching a lot of Hallmark movies, like an embarrassing amount of Hallmark movies. I have the Countdown to Christmas app. I'm checking them off. Trying to watch all the new ones this season, which is silly and fun and ridiculous. And so lots of sock knitting happens with those. So I've got one more knitting project to talk about this week. And that is my Advent socks. So, I'm not going to lie, I'm having some Advent envy. I very deliberately did not buy an Advent calendar of minis. While I appreciate that people love them, and there's beautiful yarn, and I sort of wish that I was seeing here opening a new package every day, I don't really quite get the minis thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with 24 skeins of yarn that may or may not go with each other. I don't really like collecting a giant stash of things. And for me, it just doesn't make sense for me to spend a fair amount of money for the excitement of opening yarn that then I'm going to not know what to do with. So this summer in June or July, the Cozy Knitter, who does beautiful self-striping yarns from Canada, announced her 24 stripe Advent skein, which sounded absolutely amazing. So it was a mystery skein that shipped out after Rhinebeck. And so they're ready to cast on. By December 1st. And what she did was she gave you 2 identical half skeins of yarn, and each of these half skeins has 3 full repeats of her 24 stripe repeat. So that you can make your socks be identical. And the idea is that you knit a few stripes every day from December 1st until December 24th, and you'll have a full pair of socks for Christmas morning. And so here is where I'm at so far. Okay. So it is December 11th right now. And so I am almost done with sock number 1. I'm on the 3rd stripe for today. And yeah, 1, 2, 3. So I have 1 more stripe for today after I finish this burgundy. And then tomorrow, it will all be ribbing, and I'll cast it off, and this one will be done. So my plan for these is that each sock has 2 full repeats, so 48 stripes total. So I have been knitting 1 sock at a time, and doing 4 stripes daily, which will add up to the amount of stripes that I need to have a full pair by Christmas. So it's a whole lot of fun. Again, it's just a vanilla sock. The toe pattern, I think, was taken from a Paper Daisy Creations. And then again, Fish Lips Kiss Heel. And so, yeah, they're not Christmassy, which I sort of expected them to be 24 Christmassy colors. Though she in no way ever said that they were Christmassy colors. But they're working really well. My favorite stripe is this here, this just awesome denim-y blue. I really love it. And this red pink here, those are my favorites. And the Cozy Knitter actually did a short video where she talked about her inspiration for this. And it's actually inspired by, I believe, a granny square blanket that maybe her grandmother knit for her when she was a child. But they're just super, super stripy. And it'll be really fun to get to the end and have a full pair of socks. Where, for me personally, if I had got a mini skein advent calendar, instead of having a pair of socks at the end, I would just have a bunch of minis that I didn't know what to do with. So, while the Advent envy is absolutely real, I know for me personally, it was the right choice. Oh, and here is the half skein. And I actually think they're slightly bigger than a normal half skein. They might be 55 grams. Let's see. So you get all the different colors. And each stripe ends up being about four rounds, at least on my own gauge. So it's not a whole lot of knitting to do each day, but it helps me to be mindful. Just this moment, or about half an hour each day, where I'm working on this one project slowly and deliberately. I'm a pretty fast knitter, so slowing down has been a really enjoyable thing to do. Let's see. I think those are all my works in progresses for today. Again, very sock heavy, but that's what you're going to expect because I love knitting socks. I did do a little bit other crafting the other day. So I am part of an online coaching group that does a lot of stuff based around moon cycles. So when the full moon is, when the new moon is, and all of that. And I had been looking on Etsy for a good piece of art that showed the moon cycles. And realized, as one, I wasn't finding what was in my head, and two, art's expensive, that I could probably do it myself. So I have this watercolor kit. My husband got it for me a couple Christmases ago. So it is from Sakura. It's the Koi Watercolors Pocket Field Sketchbox. And it's pretty amazing because it is all one enclosed thing. So you've got your palette, all of your different colors. Here's some sponges to help clean off your brushes. And then I have a water brush. So you just fill it with water and you're good to go. So I decided I was going to try painting some moons. I haven't watercolored in forever, in a couple of years, a year at least. And I'm in no way a professional or really even at an intermediate skill level. I took one class through the local Parks and Rec, but it's just fun. So I Googled how to watercolor moons and got some input and just kind of went with it. So here's some of my practice ones that I was doing, playing with splattering and such. A couple more. I really like the blue. Here is the moon cycle, one of them that I did. My initial wash here wasn't dark enough, so it just didn't work. But ultimately, I ended up with a usable piece, which I'm going to put up with some of my other stuff. So I have these. So we just have the dark moon, and then all the way through to the full moon, and then back down. It's all done with just black and gray. Yeah, freehanded, and yeah, so it's not something that I do a lot of, but it felt really good to kind of stretch a different creative bone muscle this past week. And for, half an hour and zero money, I have a piece of art as opposed to spending my money on Etsy where it doesn't need to go. Okay, so those are my projects that I have. And so I thought I'd go over some acquisitions. I'm a little unsure if it's something I'm going to do regularly. I love looking at new yarn and being able to find makers that maybe I didn't know about. And I use podcasts a lot for that. But at the same time, I want to be really aware of the consumption that I see, especially on Instagram. Obviously, you get to spend your money however you want to, and that is nothing, that is your right to do. But I feel that sometimes we're getting to the point in the knitting community where it becomes exclusionary. There is nothing wrong with knitting to your own personal budget. If Red Heart is what you can afford to have on your needles and it brings you joy to knit and that's what you do, then that's perfectly wonderful. If you have the means to buy $170 hand-dyed kit for the newest trendy shawl, that's also totally within your own realm. For me personally, I don't love having a ton of yarn that doesn't have a project in mind. My stash has gotten a little bit bigger than I would like it to be, but it's still probably smaller than most people would consider a problem. So I think that occasionally I will share new things if it's particularly special, but it might not be something that happens on every single video. I want people to feel welcomed, and I don't want the yarn that I am blessed enough to be able to receive or purchase or whatnot. I don't want it to make anybody else feel bad. And sometimes I think it can get to that point. So yeah, that's kind of where I feel about the acquisition thing. But I do have a couple fun things I do want to share. And we'll play it by ear. So I already showed you the Felici Beyond the Wall. And I mean, self-striping yarn is so much fun. And Felici is such a great option. Yes, there are flaws with it sometimes. We've talked about how the colors sometimes don't have the best color progression. And I know people occasionally find misplaced specks of color. But this stuff's like $6 a ball. And when a skein of hand-dyed self-striping is going to cost $35, it's just way more feasible budget-wise. There's some great self-striping dyers, and I understand why the yarn is more expensive. It is super difficult and time intensive and all of that. But from a budgetary standpoint, I know that I can't always quite justify that. My other thing that I'm noticing with the self-striping in the bigger skeins is that I end up with a whole lot left over, and where if I've got a variegated or a solid, that's really easy to translate into another project. I haven't quite figured out an effective way to use my self-stripes. So I don't feel as bad with the Felici to have leftovers because it's not as expensive. And also, if I try really hard and do some contrast, I can get a pair of socks for myself out of a 50-gram ball. For my husband, not so much, but for me, it works. So yeah, I got him the Beyond the Wall, and I tried to get my hands on Spooky, but it was already out when I was doing my ordering. But I did get myself this one. This is just called Rainbow, and it is what it says it is. I'm super excited about this. I've been kind of stalking some self-stripe hand dyers who do rainbows, and just haven't been able to quite bite the bullet on a indie dyed skein. So I was really excited that I got Felici in like an actual rainbow. These are going to be so much fun and will quite likely be the next vanilla sock I cast on. Okay, and then I've got 2 more skeins. So this next skein is from a dyer that I've never used before. But right before Thanksgiving, I think, I saw on Instagram that she was doing a 25% off sale on all of her in-stock colors. So this is Boss Lady Yarn Co. So this is another Canadian dyer. And this is the Phasma colorway. And this is not my normal colors. I normally go like, this is where I go, not this. But ever since the first time I saw this colorway, I have been enamored with it. So it is, again, Phasma, which is Gwendolyn Stacy's character in the newer Star Wars movies. I'm not like a huge Star Wars fan. I enjoy the movies, and that's, you know, enough. But there's something about this colorway that makes me so happy. So I go on to the Boss Lady to see if I can find this. This is the only skein of yarn I wanted. And the only base she had was the Miss Independent, which is a single ply yarn. Okay, you guys, I am a sock knitter. I've never used single ply yarn. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. I have an idea, but I had to have it. And not only was it 25% off, which is just an incredible bargain, it was in Canadian dollars, which always works a little bit into my favor. And so yeah, just as I say, I don't like having yarn I don't know what I'm going to do with. I buy a skein that I'm not really sure where it's going. But it's really fun, and it'll make a really great, like, almost neutral piece. I'm thinking that I've got a couple one skein shawls in mind, because it will be great with just about everything with just this pop of red. And I realized that I forgot to talk about what I'm wearing. So this is a cowl I made a while ago, and it is called the, let's see, I put it on my phone. It went away. Nope, apparently I made it go away. It's the Learn to Knit cowl, but I know that I adapted it and made it bigger. So let's see. It's pretty simple. It's more of a sampler, so you have some ribbing, just some little eyelets, and some garter sections. What I really love about this is the yarn. So I picked this yarn up at, here we go, at one of my local yarn stores. It's You and I in Chehalis, Washington. It's about 20 miles or so away. And they really like to focus on local and Pacific Northwest yarns. And this is super, super local. It's from a small farm in, I want to say Winlock, which is, again, 15 miles or so from the yarn store. This woman there, at this farm, she raises the sheep, she shears the sheep, and she spins the wool. So this is actually, it's 100% Romney from a local farm, and it is virgin undyed. And I loved this because, I mean, this is the color of the sheep, and it is chocolate brown. It's just really easy to wear, and the more I've worn it, the softer it has gotten. It's not itchy at all, and it just feels really special, knowing that like one person had their hands in the entire process. It was really exciting. So now that we've talked about that, I have one more skein to show. This one's special, guys. So this spring, my little brother, he's 25, moved from the Walla Walla area, which is about 5-6 hours away, up here to Olympia. And my parents are still back in Walla Walla. And so when we started thinking about holidays, we had to come up with a new plan. Things have changed. We need to figure out what's going to work. And so we decided to do Thanksmas, which, confession, is an idea I got from a hockey romance. But anyway, that's not important. So the idea is that we pick one day during the holiday season where all of us can get together and celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas. So the week before Thanksgiving, maybe about the week before Thanksgiving, my parents came down to my house and we did a gift exchange and did Thanksgiving dinner. And I had asked for 2 things. Now my mom, she got a little bit carried away. There was presents bought for people whose presents weren't supposed to be there. And so we all received more than what we asked for. But I asked for a set of ChiaoGoo interchangeable needles, which I got, which means a sweater is in my future, and this skein of yarn. Yes. It's Spin Cycle, guys. I'm super excited. This is called End of Summer. It is 100% American wool, superwashed, sport weight, and it is dyed in the wool. Look how pretty it is. All those little barber poles. Yeah. So I think I'm going to turn this into some Selbu mittens. Skein has a pattern that uses fingering weight, but it also says sport. And so I think I'm going to use this and then a solid color to make some mitts. I feel like Colorwork's going to show it off the best. And it's 200 yards. It's not a ton of yarn. And I really want to do it justice. I mean, look at that. It's so pretty. And Spin Cycle actually isn't that far from us. I don't remember exactly where their mill is, but I know it's up in the Puget Sound somewhere. But yeah. So this is one of the presents I got. I actually ordered it after Thanksmas. My mom let me order it. And I got it from Purl 2, which is this really incredible yarn store in Walla Walla that is just trendy and bright and cheerful, and it has just everything that you want. And they've been carrying Spin Cycle, so I just ordered it so my mom didn't have to ship it to me. But yeah, and look at that, he's so cute. And I have one more thing that isn't yarn, but it's amazing. So I got myself a set of enamel pins. There we go. Look at them. So I have a giant stuffed harbor seal named Icy, who I love. My husband got it for me a couple years ago for Christmas, and he's just my favorite. He's super cuddly. And I also, because I have the giant one, the seal Beanie Boo obsession has gotten a little bit out of hand. I think I have like 7 of them now. And so I was just, I don't know, Instagram, guys. Instagram makes me buy all the things. And I came across this maker, which is Plesiosaur. And was just scrolling through their stuff because they had a big sale on. And I came across this. And it's a fat mermaid and a harbor seal. And take my money now. I'm not sure where they're going to live, but I love them so much. I love a fat mermaid. I mean, come on. It's incredible. And the business card is amazing. If you flip it over, there's a little paper craft. And you can make your own plesiosaur. I mean, come on. So cute. It is O Plesiosaur on Instagram, but I believe that the shop is on a short hiatus until the first of the year. But you should check them out because there's so many cute things. And I think that's all that I've got. We've got the holidays coming up. So 2 weeks from today is Christmas. So my plan is to record on Tuesdays, but yeah, there's a lot of Tuesday holidays coming up. And so that will be obviously probably not going to record on Christmas. So I don't have a lot of new projects in my head right now. I kind of want to go through things coming towards the end of the year and see what needs to be frogged, what needs to be finished, what I have forgotten existed, to kind of start fresh with the new year. But I want to get these 2 pairs of Christmas socks done. And so yeah, by the time you see me next, we should have some finished socks and hopefully some new exciting things on the needles. I hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful knitting, and that there's plenty of stitches amongst all the stress and chaos that the holidays can bring. I'll see you guys later. Bye.